Then there was a certain plot twist that happened right at the end of this book, and I was like, huh? What? I honestly was reading this book and I was like, what am I reading? Like, what am I reading? Like, they had something, they had a bit of chemistry, you know, when they were across from each other on a desk, but nothing actually occurred. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. So for today's video, I am back with my July reading wrap up as well as my August TBR. Now, usually I like split these videos up into my reading wrap ups as well as my TBR. However, I was in quite a bad book slump in July. I didn't pick up a book in a whole week. So in July, I did read a total of 6 books. Now, what I will say, I'm still happy with that. Considering I didn't read a book in literally a week, I still got through 6 books. So I still got through quite a few. And I did find a couple of little gems. So quality over quantity. I was going to say quantity over quality. No, quality over quantity. When it comes to my TBR, I'm always like, yeah, I'm going to read these books this month. Do I end up doing that? No, because I'm literally the biggest mood reader known to human mankind. So I just thought I'll combine it in this video. So I thought I'd go through all the books I read in July, as well as the books on my August TBR, which hopefully I'll get through. You know what? I might actually start in my reading wrap-ups and actually like go back to my TBR for that month and seeing how many I actually get through, because I have 5 physical books on my TBR as well as 3 new releases. So that's 8 books I want to get to this month. How many of these I'll probably read? If I get to over 50%, I'll be happy. So if I read at least 4, I think that'll be a success, to be honest. I'll start with the books I read in July. So I read 5 physical books as well as 1 on my Kindle. I thought I'll start with my Kindle read. I'm not doing these in literally any order whatsoever. But the only book that I read on my Kindle this month was Ace and Ember by Kate Crew, which is the second book in the Maverick series. So these ones are dark motorcycle club romances, more dark rom-com type of vibes, I will say. I read Rook and Red Bull when it released at the end of 2024. I enjoyed it. There was just something that just didn't hit for me, but I still had a fun time with it. Now, with this one, it is brother's best friend and it follows Evie and Aiden. So they've known each other since they were younger and they've always liked each other, but nothing could ever happen between them because Evie's brother is Rook, who is also Aiden's best friend. And Rook has kind of told Aiden, like, you can't go near my sister. So it's kind of a little bit forbidden. They've always gravitated towards each other and Aiden is Evie's bodyguard. So it's more like forced proximity type of vibes. There's also a romantic suspense element as well because someone is stalking Evie, so they end up like working together and it kind of goes from there. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.5 star, 3.75. I think I gave it 3.5 star. It wasn't amazing. I actually read this in a reading vlog that I filmed the other week, which was a what I realistically read in a week. And I did say that Evie did low-key irritate me quite a few times, but I still enjoyed it. I think the found family is amazing. I love the humour. You get little crumbs as well for a future couple, so excited for their story. So overall, it was an okay read. Gave it 3.5 star. I would recommend this series. Honestly, if you're in a book slump, these books are like the perfect books to read. So yeah, 3.5 star for that one. And then I read Tropesick by Lauren Oakey, which was actually the July book club pick for the Romantic Book Club. If you weren't already aware, I do run my own online romance bookstore and I've started like a book club, book box combination thing called the Romantic Book Club, which is a book box and a book club combined. So for the July pick, it was Tropesick by Lauren Oakey. Now this one I was so excited about because I saw people get asked this book and absolutely loved it. This one follows, can't remember the characters' names, Katie and Tyler. So they grew up together. Tyler was Katie's next door neighbour and Tyler was best friends with Katie's brother. And they kind of had something when they were younger. They ended up breaking up and then years later, they ended up like working together to write a book for this famous author. So it's more forced proximity. And yeah, the whole plot and premise sounds really good. And I'd definitely say the first half of this book I really enjoyed. But then there was a certain plot twist that happened right at the end of this book. And I was like, huh? What? And I'm still confused to this day. I was talking to one of my friends about it who also read the book and they were like, huh, what? They were still confused to this day. There is a massive plot twist and there's I don't even want to say anything because I feel like it might give spoilers. I had a guess of what I thought was going to happen. And then what occurred, I did not expect whatsoever. I was like, huh? If you read this book, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I didn't like that plot twist. I sometimes really like plot twists. I was explaining it to my mum and she was like, oh my God, I would love that if I read it. But I hate that type of plot twist. So yeah, the plot twist kind of ruined it for me a little bit. I still gave it like a 3.5 star because the first half I really enjoyed. It was so fast paced. I liked the setting as well. The plot twist just wasn't for me, as well as the characters I just struggled to connect to. And I feel like there were certain topics in this book that I felt like could have been explored a lot more and a lot further. So yeah, I gave it 3.5 star. Then I read Midnight Message by Veena St. Graves. And now this one is a hockey romance. I haven't actually read anything by this author, but I know she has a professor-student forbidden romance coming out this month, which I'm very excited about, which I really should have... I was screenshotting the new releases. I didn't even screenshot that. I mentioned that one in my TBR if I actually remember. So that one's coming out this month, which I really want to get to. But I was just going through the new releases on Goodreads and I completely forgot about that until now. But yeah, she's got another one coming out this month. But this one is a dark hockey romance and it has got quite an interesting plot, let's just say. So it follows Mina and what is his name? Leo. See, I can't remember characters' names. If you are one of those romance readers who remembers every character name that they read about, I am so jealous because I finish a book, 2 hours later, I'm like, who? What? Like, I never remember the characters' names. Mina, she is a romance author and she gets like completely obsessed with Leo, who is in the NHL. She believes that he has similar characteristics to one of the MMCs that she has written about. So she gets completely obsessed with him, but Mina doesn't know that Leo has also been obsessed with her for years. So they end up like stalking each other, but it's like mutual stalking. As I said, quite an interesting plot. This book was so unhinged. Like, so unhinged. If I could describe this book in one word, it would be unhinged. I honestly was reading this book and I was like, what am I reading? Like, what am I reading? But I still enjoyed it. So I gave it a 3.75 star. Was I fully connected to the romance? Not really. I know romance books are very unrealistic, okay? And I hate saying this, but there was a couple of scenes that were so unrealistic. I was like, what am I reading? But I still enjoyed it. So I gave it a 3.75 star. And then probably my favourite book that I read this month was The Sweet Secret by Tierney Page, which is the second book in the London Heart series. So I read The Other Brother back in April. Wasn't a favourite read of mine. I just really struggled to connect to the romance of the characters. And going into this one, I did go into it with higher expectations because the FMC in this book, Gemma, she is the best friend of the FMC in the first book. And I really, really liked her character. She's very funny and she had a lot of funny sexual stories that had me howling with laughter in the first book. So this one is a workplace romance. It's also best friend's brother, a little bit forbidden, also a little bit of an age gap. So as I said, it follows Gemma and Max. They end up working together on a project because Max ends up moving from New York to London to work on this project. They have this like funny first interaction when they meet and they have this like instant chemistry with each other, but nothing could ever happen between them because one, Gemma's best friend is literally Max's sister and also they're working together. It's not really like boss employee, I would say, but it still has a little bit of forbiddenness and it kind of goes from there. I had such a good time with this book. I gave it a 4 star. It is very spicy, that's one thing I will say. There's a lot of spice, but I really liked the characters. I love their relationship dynamic. I thought their banter was hilarious. They had a great mix of like funny moments and bantery moments, but they also had more deeper moments between them. The only thing I will say, the only thing, and because there was about 1 million spice scenes in this book, the fact that Tierney Page didn't write this spice scene in this book, I'm so disappointed. It never had a spicy death scene. Now, when it comes to workplace romances, I love a good spicy desk scene, and it didn't have it. And it's a workplace romance. Like, I was so anticipating that, and I can't recall it happening. Like, they had something, they had a bit of chemistry, you know, when they were across from each other on a desk, but nothing actually occurred. So that's the only thing I'll say. But except from that, I really enjoyed it. Gave it 4 star. And I really want to go into the third book now, which I believe is the final book. But from reading this one, I feel like there could be a spin-off. There was a couple of side male characters that I feel like they might get their own story. So 4 star for that one. And then I also read Extracurricular by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Now this one is a professor-student romance and actually a romance book that did have a spicy death scene. Thank God. So this one, as I said, is forbidden, professor-student, but the characters are a little bit older. So the FMC is like 20, how old is she? 26 and he's like 36. So there's like a 10-year age gap between them. So it follows Ramona and Nick. So Ramona was like the book version of Miley Cyrus, where she was a child actor turned child star. She ends up like saying to her mum and dad, like, I can't do this anymore. So she ends up quitting music and then ends up attending UCLA as a student. And Nick is now her new professor, and he's also recently been divorced. He's living with his sister and her kid, and it kind of goes from there. So it's like forced proximity. They also like start off on the wrong foot, but they kind of turn into like a friends to lovers type of situation. And I gave this one a 3.5 star. I did enjoy it. I will also say, do look at trigger warnings, because there are a couple of darker topics talked about in this book. And the final book that I read this month was Before the Exile by Alyssa Wilde. Now, I finally got the title of this book right, because in my reading vlog I actually called it Before the Exile. Exile, same word. Same word. Now, this one I got because people are saying it has similar type of vibes to Bot. And since reading Bot like 4 years ago, I haven't found a book or a book series that has given me those type of vibes. And this book, I wouldn't say gave me Bot vibes. I get it, but nothing will ever compare to the feeling of reading those books. Now, this one follows Ivy and Wes. So something happened to Ivy in high school, and that's why I will say with this book as well, do look up trigger warnings. And she's kind of pushed everyone in her life away, and she ends up going to university, and she's very much like kept to herself until she meets Wes, who is her new like, I was going to say partner. They end up like sitting next to each other in class, and Wes is your typical like popular guy. He's on the American football team, very charming, like everyone loves him. So it's very much like opposites attract, and they just build this friendship between them. I would definitely say the first 150 pages took me a while to get through, but what I really loved about this book is, one, the mental health representation was done really well, I will say. And number two, one of my pet peeves in a romance book that happens literally 90% of the time is where the FMC has trauma and she ends up in a relationship with the MMC, and then she's suddenly like cured and happy. And that is not the reality in life. Like, it's not. I know books are unrealistic, but it just happens all the time. With this book, she ends up getting help for herself, which I really, really loved. I thought Wes was like a perfect book boyfriend. He is your typical green flag, and I like an MMC who is more like complex, but I feel like Ivy needed a Wes in her life. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 3.75, 4 star. You also get like found family type of vibes, great friendships, and yeah, it was very emotional at times as well. Like near the end, it was very emotional, and I do think that the author handled the mental health representation so well in this book, and that's one thing that I really did appreciate. So 3.75, 4 star, very underrated read, and if you haven't already picked up, I would highly recommend it. So those are all the books that I read in July. Now going through the books that I want to read in August. So on the emotional type of vibe that we're on, I actually ordered this book literally the other week, and when I did that order, I also ordered Falling Too Late by Day Graves. I don't know why I was in a I need a sad book type of mood. Now with this one, I've heard nothing about it. I don't even know where I saw it. It might have been on KU or something, or I just saw it on Amazon and then I thought, why not? Now this one is again much more of an emotional read. It is a friends to lovers romance, next door neighbours. Again, it seems like it's going to be quite dark and like darker themes in this book, but yeah, I just thought, why not? I've heard nothing about it, and I love finding like very underrated books to talk about, so who knows. I also think the cover is so pretty as well. It even looks like it's going to be a sad book literally just from the cover, so I want to get to that one, as well as the August book club pick, which is The Mortal Trials, which is the first book in the Isles of Wrath series. Now this one came out in July, and it is fantasy romance, deadly trials, forced proximity, and it's a romance between the FMC and her mentor. So from the blurb, I was like, that seemed like right up my alley for a fantasy. I've heard nothing about this book, so we shall see. It's also quite short as well, so I feel like I could easily get to that in like a day or two. And then I also want to read The Devil We Crave by Giles Cole. Now I actually started this book yesterday. I read the first like 3 pages, put it down, and then I ended up picking up Hunt the Villain, which I've been meaning to read for months, so I do want to get to this one sometime this month. Now with Giles Cole, I've read quite a lot of his books. They are dark mafia romances, very fun, very spicy. Now with this one, it is actually the first book in his second gen, and this one is college setting, secret side type of vibe, so it seems right up my alley. I love a good college romance with Secret Society, so I think I'm gonna really enjoy this one. And then I also, if I get to another fantasy, I want to get to The Jacid Heir by Sarah Hashem. I've heard amazing things about this book. I believe it's a duology, and I don't know too much about it. Honestly, I got this one on my birthday. It just says, an unmissable tale of shattered kingdoms, forbidden magic, and cunning royals unfolds in this Egyptian-inspired epic fantasy debut. I do love finding a good fantasy romance, and I haven't found a fantasy romance that I've loved in literally so long. So maybe this one will be it. And then finally, for the physical books on my August TBR, I do also want to get to Aria by Jennifer Hartman. This one is the first book in the, is it just called the Duet series? This one is a Rockstar romance. Now, I used to be the biggest Rockstar romance hater. Used to hate it. But now I feel like I actually like it. I don't know. And I've heard amazing things about this duet. I have read quite a lot of books by Jennifer Hartman. She writes a lot of like emotional, angsty reads. I haven't read a duet by her, so I don't know how this will go. But as I said, heard amazing things, and I do love a good Rockstar romance, so we shall see. And then finally, for the new releases that are coming out this month that I want to get to, we first of all have, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, we have Pink Ink by Avina St. Graves, which is a professor-student dark romance. This one seems really good. Let me just try to get it up on Goodreads. I love the cover for it as well. So yeah, Gothic Arna meets Dexter. I've read Gothic Arna, never watched Dexter, but my family loves Dexter. But yeah, Serial Unalive, University, Professor Student. It seems really, really good. And then we also have Lost and Found by Tara Jewett, which is the third book in the Small Town Romance series. Read the first two, didn't love the first book, I was bored. The second book I enjoyed, but I didn't love it. Now with this third one, I've heard amazing things, and I've heard that this one is quite emotional, so we shall see. And then we have a book by Joss Richard. I haven't read any of her books, but this one is Let's Kiss and Tell. So this one releases on the 11th of August, and it is workplace romance, fake dating, 90s rom-com nostalgia. Seems good. And then we finally have Embrace by Bal Cabra, which is the fourth book in the Off the Ice series. I think this one might be the fourth and final one. I read all three books in the series. The second one is my current favourite. Now this one is a false proximity romance. It's also Coach's Daughter, and like, what's it called? What do you call it when someone tutors? Yeah, so it's also like tutor student type of thing. So we shall see. I've really enjoyed this series. Honestly, if you just want some quick and easy hockey romances, highly recommend this series. So yeah, those are the new releases. There's not really too many new releases I want to read in August, but those are just a few. So yeah, really hope you did enjoy this video. Let me know in the comments down below what was your favourite book that you read in July, as well as your most anticipated read for this month. But yeah, really hope you did enjoy. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button, like this video, and I'll see you guys in a brand new video. Bye guys!